I was going to make this a bit more structured, but I'm going to just try and freeform it. But there's some things that I've now just crossed my mind again that I wonder if other people ever really think about. Um, I'm not a heaven and hell believer. Part of it is because of the being there for eternity. The reason I find that strange is like, I don't see how any one form would want to live for eternity, or any one form could live in suffering for eternity. And that's kind of even just simply based off of how long eternity is. Like, have you ever really thought about how long that is? A cool perspective. Howdy.
Howdy. Yeah, I felt something fly in my head.
He flew by.
Woo.
Getting attacked by the bugs outside.
Yeah, the bugs that I try to save all the time.
Thank you.
52 factorial is a great way, I think, to try and think of eternity. There's a video that I'll link to this because I'm probably going to save this one to upload separately, or to actually like edit together or whatever and upload, so I could add links. But maybe not, maybe I'll just load it and edit later, edit the links into the description. But 52 factorial is the number of times that you could shuffle a deck of cards and come up with a different sequence. Like, the chance of you ever shuffling a deck of cards and coming out with a repeated sequence all the way through are like extremely unlikely. And 52 factorial is one way, or is the amount of times that a deck of cards can be shuffled and played out. So if you try and actually count that out, it plays out to some crazy number of amount of times that you could like circle the earth, pick up take one drop of water out of the ocean, like every like billion years. Like, it's ridiculously crazy to think about. But it's like, eternity is longer than that. Like, it's longer than that. It's like you can do it some like 100,000 times or something like that, I believe. Circling the globe every billion years. And taking one drop out of the ocean until it's emptied, and you empty out the ocean like a couple times. Like, that's how many times, how long 52 factorial is. You empty out the ocean, circling the globe every billion years, or taking one step every billion years to circle the globe. Then you take a drop of water out of the ocean, put it on the side, and keep repeating this process to count out 52 factorial. So that just makes it even crazier. Another idea is that I've heard proposed from Alan Watts is his most interesting question he's ever asked himself, in being, who are you? And like, when you really sit down and go like deep down into it, you come to like this like amazingly weird blank. At least I've come to an amazingly weird blank. Where it's like everything that you try and pin down yourself to be, you're like, yeah, but I'm more than that. Yeah, but that's not exactly it. Subtle little ways of talking, of my feet, my hands, things like that. Like, you have these things. So who's that you that has them? And you're like, all right, you put the whole thing together, and it's like my body. You call it my body. Who's the my that has this body? And then you ever think of the fact that, in a way, you have superpowers? We don't think of them as superpowers because we take them as pretty basic. Sight, hearing, and all that. But do you realize that, like, your ability to hear makes sound? You take ears away, there's no sound. You take eyes away, there's no light. Light only becomes light when it falls on an eye. Sounds only become sounds when they fall on an ear. So you, that little thing that we might think that we are, is creating all of this. The colors that you see, they're turned into the colors that you see based off you seeing them. If there's no eyes to see it, it wouldn't be the colors that it is. It would just be because what's being reflected off in color wouldn't reflect onto anything to be received as the color that it is claimed to be. So that in a way makes you that creator. It's crazy.
He's
Howdy.
doing it live, huh?
No, not Facebook Live.
Is that the baby?
No.
Then we don't want to talk to you. I want to see the baby.
But yeah, you have that superpower. You create, in a sense, hard things because of the fact that you have something soft to compare them to. You create heavy things by having something light to compare it to, or from having the strength to lift something and the inability to lift others. So it's like a kind of it's a power that you have, but our way of enforcing it, in a sense, is not to do anything. I only say that because when you try to do certain things, you make your powers worse. When you try hard to hear something, there's not much that you can do to try hard to hear something. You have to shut off doing things. You want to hear somebody clear, you gotta stop talking to yourself in your head. You ever been sitting in a group and heard absolutely nothing that's being said around you because you're so deep in thought that it kind of cuts off your hearing? So to hear better, you stop trying. So that takes me back to the whole who are you thing. It's like, if you're not the one, if your job to do this is to stop doing something, then who are you? What are you doing? Yeah, those are just a couple of things I've thought of that I wonder. I know other people have thought of because I've listened to stuff on it. So it's not I wonder if anybody else thinks of this. I wonder if you have ever thought of this. Have you ever sat down and played with the thought? Even there being a start to the universe, like, I get it, I understand the Big Bang thing, but there's no end. I can conceive of the idea of there being no end to this universe. If you were able to fly straight out somewhere, like, you would never, I don't think, hit a wall. I don't see a wall being hit somewhere. So I wonder of the idea of things just going on and on and on and on and on. In that sense, I could see being eternal. In that sense, being eternal makes complete sense. But me as an individual person, as this individual, living for eternity, absolutely not. I would see that as so incredibly boring. There'd be nothing new. I don't think you would be able to discover anything new if you live for eternity, which would eventually hit a boredom wall, and your memory would run out. Our memories work because we forget things. We don't have an infinite storage up there. We only remember small bits of a friggin' day, an extremely finite amount of a day. If you said, here's from 0 to 100, what percent do you actually remember from a day? Or what percent do you actually remember doing from a day? You're probably going to give out like 0.1, because there's so many little things that you ignore or just forget about because it's irrelevant in your mind. But Yeah, I'm gonna throw this up. I'm gonna throw the link into the Vsauce Math Magic episode. That's where I got the whole 52 factorial thing from. I think that was super, super dope, and I've shown it to people, and nobody else has really paid attention to it or found it as fascinating as I have. My cousin did, which is cool. Shout out to David. But yeah, just my thought for the day. Zen thoughts. Peace.